Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Twala Bears. It's been a few days since I've posted a video. I'm trying to deal with this head cold that I've had, so please bear with me. I've been wanting to get this video out a few days ago, and I wanted to get it out during the weekend, but it was just, I was just uh, a lot of nasal congestion. So let's talk about it. So why today's topic? Why do retired and veteran military expats survive better here in the Philippines than most other expats? Um, I'll tell you that in a bit. But first, let me tell you a story that happened to me when I retired. Many of you may not know, but I'm a 20-year U.S. Navy, 20-year active duty retiree. I retired back in 2010. And I remember during that time, 2010, the military was going to send me, excuse me, the military was going to send me to a course right before I retired called TAPS. And if most military probably know about this course, it's called a Transition Assistance Program Seminar, and they usually give this to service members who are about to transition out of the military. So it helps them to it helps them with their resumes, learning their VA benefits when they get out, how to transition because you've been some of the guys are a long time, been there 20, 25, 30 years in the military, and they don't know what it's like on the outside or how to do a resume again because a lot of them still have to work. So they give you this seminar for about a week, and they talk about how to transition into the real world, into the civilian world. So when I was in this course, I remember the feeling of, wow, Andrew, this is it. You're retiring here in the next few weeks, and this is the course you've been waiting for. This TAPS course, you've been waiting to get this and to retire. But there was this huge fear inside of me, and the fear that I had was, oh my God, I'm out of a job. Although the retirement pay, paid me a decent amount of money, it was still not enough to survive and pay for all the bills once I retired. So uh, during this week, I was like, man, I was getting fearful because I was realizing that I'm about to retire here and I have to go find a job. And I was getting really scared about what's the transition going to be? How am I going to make it on the outside? Yes, I had training by trade. I'm a surgical technician. I'm the guy that stands next to a doctor and hands him the instrument during surgery. So my whole career, I've been in hospitals and clinics. When I came in the military, I was a dental technician and transitioned over to a surgical technician. So that's my trade. So I knew that, I had skills to go out on the outside to get a job, but it wasn't going to be easy. So here I am on the first day of this TAPS class, right? And I'm terrified because I'm realizing that my days in the military are almost done, and it's gonna set in that, okay, no more pay, no more military housing. You're gonna be out. No more good medical from the military. So you're gonna be out there. So I was sitting in this course, and just the feeling inside of me, I was just scared, fearful, knowing that it's really coming to end. Although I'm gonna get a retirement check here, it's still not enough to cover the bills, and I had to get a job. So I was sitting next to this gentleman, and we looked over and we shook our hands, and when I looked, I noticed that he was a double amputee. And we started talking, and he said to me that he gave me a story that he was in Afghanistan and he lost both his legs. And so as we started talking, he shared, I said, are you excited to transition? He was so excited. I mean, he was overflowing with excitement. He's like, I got these two titanium legs now, and I'll never forget. I got them signed by, I can't remember the name of the NASCAR driver. He was excited. I remember for getting a signature autograph of a NASCAR driver, And then he was just so upbeat, and he was talking about, him and his wife had already started on a VA loan, and they already had a house ready to go, and he was ready to start his new life. And then it just hit me. I said, man, here I am, fearful about transitioning without a job to the real world. And here's a guy that lost both his legs for our country, and he's upbeat, he's happy, he can't wait, he's excited. I would think to myself, man, I would be even more terrified if I had no legs. But this guy had no legs, gave his life for his country, and he was going to get retirement for the rest of his life. And but he was going to be disabled. And but after hearing his story and how encouraged I was after hearing that, and how I felt, I had no more fear after that. I had no fear. So when I was able to get out of the military, retire, look for a job, eventually I found a job. Within, I think, a month or two, I found a job, and everything was fine. I transitioned. So I said all that to say this. A lot of these military expats come here, veterans, retirees, and when they get here, they've been through so many hard times in the military. They've learned to take their families into other countries. Every 3 to 4 years, you get new orders, you have to move. Sometimes you get deployed and you have to leave without your family. But there's one thing that always happens is that military people learn to um, whatever transition they have to do, they do it. They don't complain. There's no use in complaining because the government's going to send you, the military is going to send you whether you like it or not. Um, so that is one advantage. And the biggest advantage is why military expats survive better here in the Philippines. They don't complain about, what is the complaints we have here. I don't like the driving here in the Philippines. I don't like when I go to immigration, I have to wait in these long lines. I don't like when I go to restaurants, they don't have my favorite food. I don't like when I go to the grocery store, the selection is not what I think, or all the imports are so expensive. All these things that expats, when they get here, they complain about. And it really matters nothing at all. It doesn't matter. Just transition, make the best of what you got. And that's what military guys do. They make the best of what they have. They can't complain about moving to another country, being away from their family on deployments. We just don't do that. We're used to it. So here in the Philippines, military expats seem to flourish here. Um, there was a buddy of mine, another story, a buddy of mine who was with me on a ship, was with me on the USS Reagan. He retired a few years right before I did, and he moved here to the Philippines, and he currently lives now in Angeles City. Well, I'll never forget in 2020 when when COVID hit, he sent me a pic, and he sent me a message, and he said, "Hey, buddy, I hope you're ready because it's going to be chaos here. If things go bad here with the economy, with this COVID, what's going to happen." He sent me a picture, literally a picture of a weapon and stacks of cash. I said, "Buddy, are you crazy? It ain't going to get down to that where it's going to be like Armageddon and we're going to be living out in the streets or something like that. I'm sure it'll be somewhat controlled, but hey, he's a true blue military guy. He was not playing. He had his weapon. He had stacks of cash ready to go in case there was craziness in the streets. And I'll tell you, that's one thing that military guys are. They're ready. They're prepared. It doesn't matter what comes their way. They're ready and prepared. So I just want to do a shout out to all my military retirees and vets from whatever country you're from. You know who you are, and shout out to you guys because Military expats, they know how to survive in other countries. They know how to flourish. They know how to make it work. Although they don't have all the things that you get back in your home country, they know how to make it work. And so that's pretty much the message I wanted to share with you guys. There was a one quick thing. There was an old movie called Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood. I used to watch these old movies, and even before those cowboy movies with my grandfather. And he made this movie called Heartbreak Ridge. And in that movie, there was something he said, and he said, "Improvise, adapt, and overcome." I'm a sailor, but some of my bullet catcher Marines used to use this saying. It was a unofficial saying that they used to say all the time: adapt and overcome. And that's what I believe we should do, just like the Marines used to say. They said this in this movie: is like adapt and overcome and make it happen. Stop complaining over the small stuff. That's little stuff. The economy is good for you here. You could survive on your retirement and do well and go with it. Be happy with it. So that's all I have for you guys today. Just want to come back, tell you I've survived from my little head cold, and hopefully to have some more content for you guys later on. But thank you guys. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Um, Hopefully to have more content for you guys. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. And ooh to all those military vets out there.